Welcome to The Real Deal, where we get real about what it takes to succeed. Whether it's wealth, health, relationships, or finding your purpose, we talk to the masters to uncover the secrets to defying the odds and creating your own rock star legacy. I'm Doug, and after working on multiple Grammy-winning records as an author, transformational speaker, and your personal translightenment coach, I'm committed to your growth and success. And now, here's the real deal. Today's episode of The Real Deal On is brought to you by GuidedHypnotic.com. Are you feeling stressed out, full of anxiety, maybe some trepidation, and struggling with managing those said emotions? Then download your free guided hypnotic meditation, GuidedHypnotic.com. Very cool. Yeah, sponsored by. All right. So welcome to The Real Deal On with my dear friend, Dr. Terry Wager, and I have a little bit to share about you. Success is a choice. People are in business to make money. Anyone that says any different is fooling themselves. Dr. Terry Wager is committed to his goal of generating 100 millionaires with his joint venture partners, and he wants you to become one of them. Terry holds a doctorate in psychology. He's a master hypnotist, speaker, high-performance coach, and business strategist. He'll show you how to integrate physiology, psychology, business strategy, and lifestyle so that you generate $1 million in your life and business. Entrepreneurship can be a difficult life, and as you and your business grow, so do your challenges. Terry helps you develop a high-performance, Jedi-like mindset and emotional state to command your space. He teaches you how to position yourself to gain ultimate influence and take intentional strategic action in every part of your life, generating wins for everyone. He insists on you committing yourself to being excessively obsessive and generating rapid results. You know you want success. You know you want results. Terry provides 100% value personally and professionally to help you dominate your space. And of course, you'll be going to generatorcoaching.com to book an appointment to talk to Terry today. So, best intro you've had all day, right?
It is the best intro I've had all day. And I got to say that I actually just took your intro, put my name in there, and then
done. There you go. So, how the heck are you? Tell us about yourself. I mean, we've known each other now for, I guess, a couple of years, and we've become good friends, and we are on the same path to helping people in all areas. And, what I love about you and Christine, you guys work together. Heidi and I work together. It's just a great it's a beautiful thing. So share a bit about your story. How did you get into it? Because your story is pretty phenomenal. When we met and I got to hear it, I was blown away.
Well, it all started when I decided to drink as a kid. I actually had a lot of trouble in my own life in my grade school and high school and pretty much through early adulthood years. I didn't know how to freaking function with the rest of the world. Maybe autistic, I don't know. But I just didn't get how to really relate to and connect with other people. And it caused me to do a lot of drinking, and it caused me to really just run my life off the rails. And I had to do something different. And all kinds of stuff was just coming down on me. And I ended up in a 12-step program because I did not know how to live my life. I just did not, plain and simple, know how to live my life. And I know that a lot of people do pretty well at life. And I know a lot of people do pretty, don't relate to that level of falling apart kind of stuff. But for me, that was my story, and I'm sticking to it. I just did not know how to make things work. And everything that I tried to do just made it worse and made me disconnect further from people. And so I turned myself into a 12-step program, not like abracadabra, but I actually went in there is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And so I just went in there and I said, I don't know how to live my life. I don't know how to do this. And it was that day that everything started changing. And I started listening and following some suggestions that were in that program. And I started actually seeing myself in a different way throughout those years. And after, I'm going to fast forward a lot, but after about 2 years of starting to really understand the emotional component of people in a different way and understand that what was going on with me was I didn't like myself and I was really reacting to my emotions. And now I was actually starting to like myself and I was starting to be more intentional in my actions. I realized that I was pretty good at helping people. And so I went to school for psychology. And I was a line cook. I worked in a restaurant and I was about to go into management. And my chef was like, "Hey, what do you want to do with your life?" And I was like, I'm just about to say I want to be a sous chef and go through the thing. And out of wherever came out, I was like, I think I want to go to school and become a psychologist and help people. And I was like, and he was like, "What?" And I was like,
and you had never had that thought before?
I mean, no, not a conscious kind of idea.
Yeah.
But it was just a boom out of the blue. And so I was like, and he's like, "I think you ought to do that because you have a place here that you want. If you want, you can be here all your life, but you're really not happy. And maybe moving into a sous chef place, you might get happy, but you're not happy here and you're wasting your time. You are able to do stuff. I see it in you and you'd always be here." And so I was like, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply to school. And if I get in, I go. 3 weeks later, I was in school.
That's pretty amazing. So when you made that decision, like my friend Frank would call that a tap, kind of the universe, God tapped you.
Oh, yeah.
How was there any moment where you were thinking to yourself, maybe this isn't a good idea, or do I really want to do this? Like, was there any of that conversation before, signing on the dotted line, as it were?
There was fear about what it's going to look like that I noticed, but really there was, from the moment it came out of my mouth, I just knew that was right. And my chef knew it was right. And he's like, when I talked to him later about it, he's like, "You just changed as soon as you said that. It was weird. I just knew that you had to go do that."
Very cool.
And, I still have a relationship with him, by the way. And one of my best friends at that place quit that business and he quit being a chef. And now he mows my lawn. He has a lawn care business. Mm-hmm. So I'm still connected to those people. And this was over 25 years ago or about 25 years ago. No, over somewhere around there. These people were integral in my life and they gave me a place to be as I had those 2 years in early recovery. And, I was so grateful for them. And I was afraid.
Are they in recovery as well?
No.
Wow. Okay.
They just gave me the space.
Yeah.
And I was so gracious because I was a jerk there and I was like antisocial and I don't mean like breaking shit and things like that, but I just didn't want to talk to people. I didn't think they liked me. I didn't really like them because they didn't like me. I had all that crap going on and I was raw nerves. And as I went through, I started starting to help people and I started to enjoy myself a little bit more. And then I made this change and I went to school and I decided to go to a small Christian school because I was pretty much a heathen and I didn't know how to have a contact with God and I didn't really understand God. And I grew up Catholic, but I hated that and I hated God. Because I thought he hated me and I had all that crap going on. And I was just like, I got to do something different and I got to do something to infuse some kind of godlike thing in my life. And so I went to a Christian school and, it was a great education, very good education. And I really liked a lot about it. And I even liked we had to go to this worship thing every morning. It was just kind of weird, but I remember going, this is kind of weird because I usually can't stand this stuff, but I don't mind it. I'm not like a full-on subscribed Christian or anything, and probably Christians would say I'm not Christian, and I don't have any opinion on that really. I just whatever. I have my own satisfactory relationship with a higher power that I gained through the program, the 12-step program that I attended. And it really changed how I see the world and it changed how I see myself in the world. And it really helped me to learn how to be a human being and be a part of something.
And while you were attending school, were you also still in the program?
Yeah, I've about 24 and a half years now. And I think there's probably about 1 year that I didn't really go at all, but I stay involved in it. And I used to go because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started going because I wanted to. And then I started going because I wanted to give back.
Got
And
it.
so now I go and I share with people, and I'm there for them because they were there for me.
Beautiful. Yeah, because that's sometimes when people are talking about their recovery and they've accomplished to the degree that you have, sometimes that part of their life kind of falls to the background, and they're like, yeah,
Right.
I'm not really attending meetings. I'm just, and there's no judgment. It was really a
Yeah.
curious
And
question.
and there's a lot of debate in the program that I attend, and the debate is basically like, you really should go because you got what you got, and you should give back. And then there's a debate that if you don't stay, you're going to go drink. And there's all these different fears and different opinions and all of that. And I stay above that. I don't really have an opinion, and that's actually a principle that we're taught, is to stay out of opinions on what other people should do.
Right.
And really don't, that's not an argument or something that I need to get into, because it really just goes against, for me, the principles of the program, which are to help others to achieve some kind of sobriety or substance-free life.
And the truth is that the best way you can help is by continuing to just be yourself and do what you're doing and be a shining light.
Exactly.
And that's, I can't think of anything better to do.
And that's what I did. And so, I stay in the program because it gave me my life.
Right.
It gave me my life. And so I give life back to the people that are in there. And it's very much a reciprocal kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I still get a lot out of it, because when I do notice I'm stressed, or I do notice that I got something going on, I go to that and I'm home, and I just, I used to say, especially when I first got hypnotized, and I first started understanding what hypnosis is that those 12-step meetings are a big hypnosis session.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually have an induction. They have a little script in the middle, and then they have a closing where they bring everybody back out. And it's like, oh, you know what? Actually, everything is. But it was really apparent to me that there's a very big process in there that helps people to just de-stress, let go, connect back to themselves, and connect back to the group. And then they go out about their day and they just blow up again. Well, here we go. I need another meeting. And it's so funny, because it happens all the time that you see people go in there and
right.
Oh, I don't know what I was upset about. Jeez, I can't remember. Like, you want to share? You know what? I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting in those rooms. But enough about that. While I was going to school, I actually transferred from the little Christian college to USC, which is University of Southern California, not the other one that doesn't count.
South Carolina?
That's the one.
Okay.
It doesn't count. It's
okay.
USC is Trojans. USC is USC. I graduated from there with my undergrad degree, and a real special thing is I dropped out of school before I ever went back to college, because I thought I was too stupid. I didn't think I could do it back when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And so here, a high school dropout graduates with, insanely high average for the school. And really, it doesn't take anything to keep going. I didn't study more than anybody else or anything like that. I just applied myself, and I really loved the information. I really loved understanding what was going on. And then I went to grad school. About a year after that, in between that, I started working with severely emotionally disturbed kids. And I started really seeing that this emotion thing, I could relate to those kids so much, because that was me.
Mm.
It was me. I didn't know how to regulate. I didn't know how to identify emotion. I didn't know emotions existed. I just knew things were screwed up. I almost swore. And so I learned how those emotions, I could see how they're playing with those people And so I was like, I got to learn more about this, and I got to learn how to actually help people at a deeper level, which I had already, I already made the commitment to go and become a doctor of psychology, but this just reinforced that, yep, this is the right path for me. And I applied to 2 schools. I applied to California School of Professional Psychology, and I applied to a school that is now closed because of money stuff, but a school called Argosy University. And I went to Argosy, and I had the most amazing experience there. The professor that ran the whole program was from the old Chicago School of Professional Psychology, which was huge in psychology background, and like some of the big names were connected to it. And he was just amazing, and I got a really, really in-depth understanding of how to work with people on a real psychodynamic level. And I got into attachment theory. I got into emotional regulation. And so it just was like, I get it. I see it so different now. And I see how we can actually help people make change in their whole life by addressing this one little thing that nobody knows about because they're unconscious. And so I started working in community clinics, and as I went through, I started realizing that I was pretty good at therapy, and I was pretty good working with people and helping them move changes. And then I had to go on my internship, and it turned out that I ended up in a prison.
Well, when you say not as an inmate, of course.
Not as an inmate.
Yes.
Although with my drug and alcohol background,
you would have ended up there anyway.
There was not much difference. I didn't get caught.
Yeah.
Grace of God there. I didn't get caught. And I was like, but for the grace of God, there go I. And I could really relate to a lot of these guys because there's a lot of drug charges and a lot of bad mistakes out of being stupid on substances and stuff. But again, those kids in that prison, when I say kids, they were 18, 19, ready to either go to prison or get out.
That was most of the community that you worked with?
Yeah. 17, 18, 19-year-olds. And then they'd go to the adult prison if they were sentenced for a long sentence. And there was a lot of people who were in for murder and kidnapping and all kinds of different stuff that just, how does that happen? Well, it happens because people are out of control emotionally and they make very bad decisions. And so
what did you notice from talking with people in that state? Were there any similarities? Were there any, what were patterns you noticed? Patterns that maybe were inconsistent? The biggest thing I noticed is those kids are the same kids that I was dealing with when I was at USC. I have to see my thumb. They're the same kids that I was dealing with, the severely emotionally disturbed population. They just grew up and went to jail because they didn't know how to control themselves. And what you really see is people trying to control their outside environment, and they try to manipulate their outside environment to get what they think their needs are met. And they're not able to communicate what's going on with them. They're not able to say what's going on with them. And so they're really agitated and they blow up or they implode. Now, most of the people in prison, they blow up because that's kind of the behavior. And outside kind of, the ones that implode end up in mental hospitals or end up in therapy rooms and things like that. And so they all go somewhere, but the ones I was dealing with were the exploders, and they attack anybody. And I had a lot of gang members that were in the gang because that's what they learned, a lot of learned behavior. And I tell you what, those gang members were very, very good business guys. They just couldn't control their emotions to not get themselves in more trouble. But they had, even in the prison, they had a whole system dialed in on how to get people what they want, and all kinds of contraband and an economy of the prison. And you see stuff like that in TV stuff. It's true. It's absolutely true. They get more shit in that prison than I could. How does that happen? But they come up with cell phones. They come up with freaking Subway sandwiches. Like, how'd you get that? Well, and as you're talking, I don't have that level of experience in jails, in prisons, but I do, Heidi and I were working in the treatment world. And one of the things that we noticed, and I wonder if it's the same, is while they have a rough exterior, that really they're some of the most sensitive, the most caring, the most loving people that just unfortunately bought into some non-resourceful strategies that were, not sustainable, and then brought them into either the prison real or the prison of addiction.
Right.
But it sounds similar.
The reality is, and you know this because you work with people who don't have addiction stuff, is the prison isn't necessarily addiction, or the prison isn't the prison. The prison is our limiting beliefs. The prison is our fears. The prison is how we experience the world as dominating us in some way.
Right.
And that's the major thing, is they were dominated by their own emotions, and then they try to control the outside world to dominate themselves or try to change themselves, and they couldn't do it. And you're right. They are the same people as the people that we have relationships with, that we care about and that care about us. They just have been so protected for so long by their own way of trying to survive that they have really poor protective strategies, is what I call them. And so they protect themselves by harming, and they don't mean to, but it's like, either me or you. Sorry, didn't mean to, but sorry.
Well, and there it goes into some NLP. All behavior has positive intent.
Exactly. And I firmly believe that there is a lot of positive intent. And I mean, I worked with all kinds of different stuff, including sexual abuse and things like that. And when you really look at it, instead of run away from it and go, oh my God, they're terrible. No, they're not terrible. They're human. And they had something going on. They told themselves a story after they got emotionally triggered. And then they acted on that story because they didn't know how not to. And when you identify the emotion and you turn off that triggered emotion, the behavior goes away. And so really helping people learn how to identify what's going on with them really turns that behavior off, really. And the coping mechanism or the strategy with which they're protecting themselves goes away. They don't have the need for it anymore because they're not triggered.
It's so funny as you share that. I think, it's besides the work we do, the style of work we do, the idea that if you could help someone in prison, you could definitely help someone in, their business. Same thing with me is like, with Heidi and I, man, if we could help people in, through addiction, and create a life worth being sober for, and do that, then we can help you with your business, with your personal life, because it's all the same stuff. It's just the degree of impact those choices have. Because ultimately it's an addiction anyway, from my perspective. We get addicted to the story, we get addicted to the drama, we get addicted to the chaos, and we even get addicted to the states, right? Even we go into the neurobiology of it all and how it affects our, it's on a cellular level. But I really want to honor you for taking that shift and moving from, transforming your life, reinventing yourself to help, a different group of people, which is not to say the other people don't deserve, need, or have access to. It was a stage of your life, stage of our life too.
Right. And, for me, I was at the prison as an intern. And so I was actually doing this work as an intern, and they're like, I just thought they picked me because it's like, hey man, this guy is freaking awesome. Let's put him with the really worst of the worst of the worst of the worst down in that 23-1 lockdown where the most violent offenders are. Let's put him there. And I was like, hey, look at that. They know that I'm pretty good, right? And my ego's all telling me how great I am. And then when I looked at all of the other interns that were there was about 11 of us. I was the only guy that was my age that was in that kind of situation that could handle the agility that might be needed in that area. And then there's, small girls, old people, and, there's 2 or 3 that were 55 plus.
That were interns or that were working at?
Interns.
Wow.
And so when I looked around, I was like, oh man, it's not because I could do it. It's not because I'm awesome. It's because I was probably the best choice at that point because these old people might get hurt. Like, well, that's a blow to my ego.
Or could it have simply been there was a need?
Yes. and it's funny when I look back and I was like, I think my ego got me there. It wasn't necessarily because I'm the greatest in the world. And really it's that right sizing that, I am good. I'm great. I'm really good at what I do. But, there's other factors too. Maybe I should look at those. And yeah, well-rounded kind of look. But the interesting thing that you were saying is, when I was in the prison working, I was really wanting to know if the changes that I was making with these guys were because they're just so needing change, or is it, can I work with other populations? And so I started working with other populations, and I actually ended up moving to Oregon from California, working in the prison for a little while in there. And then as I moved out, I moved into a private practice, and I started working with a private practice group. And I arrived. I finally got my own private practice. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. There was no real challenging kind of thing. And I was dealing with people who were depressed and lonely and not wanting to really change. And they just wanted to come and talk to me. And I really didn't want to do that. I really loved the energy and the confrontation that was in the prison. I think I missed Mace a little bit. And there's a lot of different things.
An acquired taste.
Right. You put it on your sandwich. But I just missed that energy. And then I started getting business people in to the private practice that were stressed out and, doing deals and not knowing how to manage their emotions around that. And they're just stressed out. They can't sleep. And I'm like, it's not that you're stressed out or you can't sleep. It's that you're not identifying what's going on with you. And what I noticed is these guys were the same as the prison guys with healthier, effective behaviors than the other guys. They weren't, the business people weren't doing things wrong to people, but they still had the same strategy of stuffing their emotions, of not identifying what's going on and just trying to freaking control shit. And so they were doing the same thing. And so I was like, I can fix that. I can help you with that. And I started getting rid of their stress and helping them to really identify in a different way. I helped them to identify their emotions, and their businesses start growing. And then they start asking me about what I would do in their situation with their business, or in their situation with their conflict. And so I started doing a little conflict management. I started doing a little bit of negotiating and telling them how I might negotiate a deal. And then they started coming more and more, and I'm getting paid $150 an hour to give these guys high-level business advice. And then, I heard of Tony Robbins. I didn't know who he was. And, this is freaking 2011 and 12. I didn't.
Of course.
I heard of him as the guy on TV at night that was really good with motivation, but I just, whatever, he's not a doctor. And then I actually started realizing that he's making millions of dollars doing the same thing I am, and I'm making $150 an hour. Somebody's doing it right, not me. And so I was like, I want to find out a little bit more about this guy. And so I watched the thing, and I got really jealous. I hate that guy. All of his stuff is right. At the same time, I do that too, and I've got this, and he's got this. I'm sitting there going, I need to do that. And so
let's get a timeline on that. You went to school. How many years did it take you to do the school? Because you went to 2, was it 4
11.
years?
10 or 11.
10, 11 years.
From the time I started my undergraduate course, because I started my undergraduate school, I never gone to college before. I dropped out. And
so you had to make up for all that. Okay.
At 28, I started school, and at 38 I graduated, or 39 I graduated. 38 I started working in the prison.
Okay, and you were there for a couple of years interning?
I was in prisons for 3 years in California, and then 1 here.
Okay, and then you started at a practice.
Yeah, I built my practice. I built it to a $200,000 practice in about a year and a half.
Okay, and how long did you do that before you decided?
I did it for about 3 or 4 years. Obamacare kicked in, and I lost a lot of money through insurance because I had a lot of private pay, but then everybody wanted to use their insurance. Yeah. And so I just watched my bottom line dwindle as I had all of these people that didn't really want to change. And then I had these other people that really did. And this is about 2016 when I just went, I am not going to work with mental health anymore. Number one, I don't believe it. I don't believe mental health is really what it is. I believe it's an emotional fitness thing, not a mental health issue. We're all mentally crazy when we're not identifying our emotion.
Right.
When we're not emotionally okay. Our thinking is screwed up.
Right. Well, yeah, one of my models is, and I don't know, I know we've discussed it a little bit, is when we brought it up already, is that I believe that oftentimes people who are diagnosed as clinically depressed are just simply addicted to depression.
Right. And I believe that they're just self-pitying.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just sitting in their shit.
Mm-hmm.
And anxious people are just afraid of what might happen. And so they just have the dreaded what ifs going on. They sit there, oh, what if this happens? What if that? What happens? And those anxious people continue on this path and trajectory of what if, and they back away from what they're wanting to do, or they go way too hard at it. And then they end up in self-pity because things aren't working out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have this anxious, depressed kind of thing. And for me, those are both behaviors that we created for ourselves because we're not identifying emotion.
Mm-hmm. And then it gets reinforced when you go to somebody else and they go, oh, wow, that's messed up. Oh, yeah, me too. That's effed up. Yeah. And then it turns into a psychocybernetic loop that we're both feeding each other in right. that model.
Right. Yep. And I saw, and I had therapists working for me a little bit. And I started to grow the practice, and I noticed that a lot of the therapists that I hung out with and that I knew all kind of fed into keeping people in a mental health model. And I didn't like that. One of my mottos for anybody that came in my room was, you're okay, you just don't know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, NLP presupposition. You ain't broke.
Yeah, you just don't know it. You're listening to your head too much. Shut up. Stop listening to you and start listening to somebody who has a plan for you to change. And the people that were my business people love that. And the other people like, oh my God, he said that. I'll stay because I kind of see what he's saying, but I don't really want to do it. And so I actually referred all my mental health people, and I kept 4 clients. I had a full practice. I'm not doing that anymore. And I kept 4 clients. I raised their prices, and they started paying me what I was worth, or closer to what I was worth. My prices are much different now, but or the level of investment is much more now. But the whole idea is these people knew that this was helping them to make change in their life and grow their business, and they saw the value in it. And the other people did not see the value in getting rid of what was going on with them. They had more value in keeping the mental health label, and I just couldn't subscribe to that. And so, gone, move this way. And so,
well, so talk about that reinvention, that renewing of the mind, those because that's kind of the purpose of the show, is to look at someone's path, right, and then look at the obstacles, and then how did they overcome them. Well, some of these are pretty significant. And when you have a business, and I get it, you were pushed into it because of the insurance wasn't paying and your accounts receivables were going down and all of that. But
that was just a thing. It was really that I really was excited about the other people that I was working with. And I had a conversation with Christine. She was still working for Starbucks at the time. And I had a conversation with Christine. I was like, I just hate this. I hate going and trying to help people that don't want to help themselves. In the 12-step communities, they go in there, they're beat up, they want to change. In the prison, they're beat up, they want to change. In a private practice where people actually come in of their own volition, they didn't want to change. But the business people did.
Because they saw it as an investment. Like, what would be like for you, the motivators that you witnessed?
The business people wanted to grow their profits. They wanted to grow their business. They had a major goal that they were unrelentingly wanting to hit. The other people had the goal of feeling better, and they just wanted to feel better. And I just want the pain to stop. It's like, well, stop doing what you're doing. I don't know. I just want the pain to go away. And they wanted a friend, and they wanted to talk, and they wanted to do this. And don't get me wrong. A lot of my clients made a lot of progress in the mental health kind of thing. It just didn't feed me.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting results. It just wasn't feeding me the way that I know. And when I have a little phrase that comes out that I know I'm ready for a change, and I've known it since I first got sober, If this idea occurs to me, I know I need to make a change. And it goes like this. I didn't get sober for this.
Mm.
And if that pops into my mind, I'm on the wrong path. And it just pops out of nowhere just as much as I said, I think I want to be a psychologist. It just goes, I didn't get sober for this. Oh, shit. Uh-oh. And that's my, big red flag that I need to make a shift.
How many times has that come up for you?
About 7.
Very cool. So you like that moment when it's a subtle thing, but once it happens, it just,
whoa, hey. And it's just like, look, you didn't get sober for this. This is not what you had in mind. And so.
And how big of a shift when like 7 times, were they only about business and about, your profession, or is it also in a personal life area as well?
I got into a relationship and knew I didn't really like her about 2 months in. And then I married her. About 8 years into the relationship and me trying to be a good guy committing to a relationship, and I was afraid of commitment. And I wasn't afraid of commitment. We didn't match up.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this idea. My head was telling me that if I quit, I'm a quitter and I'm running away. And I was reading it wrong. And I wasn't necessarily talking about this with some of my mentors. And I didn't have a whole lot of mentors in that relationship. I started realizing the value of having people in my life about that. I had, the 12-step sponsors and stuff, but they kind of fall into the, you don't want to give up. You don't want to just run away from stuff. And so I had some maybe not so great advice. And I really thought it was a commitment thing for a while because I convinced myself of that. But really, we just didn't line up. And we didn't have the same goals. We didn't have the same ambitions. She didn't like people and I love people. She didn't want to grow. I want to grow fervently, fervently. And so the tongue doesn't work sometimes. And so
I was the bestest in my English class anyway. So
I was too.
I was the most goodest,
bestest ever. And so I really wanted something different. And, it just, I can get sober for this relationship and to work this hard to enjoy something that I don't enjoy. And so we ended amicably.
Huh? Are you still in touch with her? Like, do you still talk?
Not really. She went so far her own way. Right now she lives probably about 30 minutes away. And I never, if I saw her, I'd be totally, hey, how you doing? No problem. And she would be too. Communication. But we decided to get the divorce and we signed the papers and 3 weeks later it was done. I mean, absolutely done. It was just gone.
So question, have you ever had that thought and not acted?
Yeah. With her a few times thinking that it's a commitment thing. And so it's like, I didn't get sober for it. I didn't get sober for it. I better pay attention to this. And so, yeah, I don't want to make change. I mean, the change sucks, change is hard, change is scary. And so the reality is I get stubborn sometimes and I don't listen, but when it hits me that hard in the face, like I got to change. And I mean, it starts off as a little, quiet whisper, really. And when I really think about it, like, this isn't where you want to go. This isn't the way you want to go. This is, you didn't get sober. Oh yeah. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. Make a change. And as soon as that's loud enough that I'm like, oh, okay, I got to make this change. And so
that's a beautiful thing that you can recognize that, because some people don't have that. Now, curious, just now on a personal level, just wondering at first, not that, so the whisper, was there a moment at the beginning of that relationship or in any other area of your life that you look back and you go, oh, that was the precursor to you didn't get sober for this? Like, do you know what those little voices are before it becomes that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that relationship was a good example because it's like, she likes me, but what she's doing is a little annoying. What she's doing, I don't really like. And the different people saying different things about what they noticed about how we interacted, or I interacted with people and she didn't. She wouldn't come with me. She didn't like me to hang out with people. And I was dismissing a lot of that, and I think that's a very familiar and very normal thing for us to do, is this is important to me. So I'm going to dismiss every flag that I see, because really this is very important. And we start dismissing a lot of these different things out of our life that are really flags, and they're probably red, and they're probably saying, don't do that. And we do it anyway, and we get more miserable and more anxious and more.
And I'm going to hallucinate that just doesn't happen in relationships.
Oh, no. I'm
It happens in business. It could happen.
Yeah. But no, it happens in business, and it was happening in my private practice. I was like, I don't like the way this is going. This isn't what I had in mind. I'm not making the money I wanted. I'm running a business, and it's going well as far as running a business, but it's just not developing the way I want it to. And I'm not developed. I'm living in a freaking box room, and I don't have any windows, because that's what they had available to build out what I wanted. And it's like I'm in this little cave helping one person at a time, when I'm watching people like Tony Robbins affect hundreds. And I have that ability, and I know I do. And so, and Tony Robbins is the only one, like, T. Harv Eker and you and the other people that I know, and our coaches and the people that we know in the world of professional development or personal development, is like, we all have that ability. Why am I hiding in an office showing one person at a time this information instead of going on a larger scale?
Beautiful. So share that transformation that you made that decision. You're like, okay, Tony and all these guys are out there. They're doing great work. What were the next steps for you to start chipping away at what may be holding you back? What did you add to start, moving you up?
Really, I didn't know how to break in. I didn't know how to get into what Tony Robbins was doing, or basically seminar work or stage work or anything. I'd never been to a seminar. I'd never done that. I didn't learn how to ride a bike at one or anything like that. I didn't have that experience. I had academic. And so if you want to grow in academia, you go and become a professor. And I don't want to be a professor. That's boring. You got to put that sweater, the sweaters on, or the coat with the sleeve things. And I just, my elbows don't like sleeves like that. And so I was like, I want to do something, and I want to do something that's exciting and put myself out there. And I don't know what to do, but I was trained in hypnosis. I did get trained in hypnosis in my private practice, because I really liked the effect. And I had a experience with one person that I hypnotized by trying to get them to calm down, and they just went. I'm like, holy shit, this works.
You didn't use a hammer?
No. I just said, pretend you have a candle in front of you and blow at it. And she was like, okay, one more time. Really focus. She went, I was like, what the hell happened? And so I went and found the worst person in the world to teach me how to hypnotize people. And it was a bad experience, but I was convinced that it was good and somebody else could teach me better. And I found them. And so I got trained, but then I saw a guy named Anthony Gailey do a hypnosis show and a talk all in one. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And so it was my first seminar I went to, and he was teaching people how to do a keynote speech with a hypnosis show. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. Amazing. And he showed us exactly how to market, to put a keynote speech out there to do as a hypnotist. And I didn't know how to do stage hypnosis. I was like, oh shit, I'm missing something here. And so I started going around and talking to some of the people and some of my friends. And I ran into a guy who actually lives 30 minutes from me, who was at the same training. And so we started hanging out, and he was going to teach me stage hypnosis. And then he's like, you know what? You got to go down to the Oregon State Fair. There's this real cool guy, Mark, and you should go check him out. And so I went there, and freaking hilarious show. Awesome stage presence. Wonderful guy. You've met him.
Yeah, he's going to be on the show.
And I was like, this guy, he didn't know this at the time. He knows a little while later. But I go, this guy is going to teach me how to do what he does. And so I went up to him after. I'm like, you're amazing, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, Yeah, I don't teach anybody how to do this. And I was like, well, you're going to teach me. And he's like, nah, I'm not. And so I'm like,
So
no,
then you
you're
told them, all
totally
right, imagine you're blowing out a candle.
you're going to teach me. But anyway, he's like, I'll help you in any way I can. Come check out my seminar in a couple of days. And so I was like, he probably tells that to everybody. And so I ended up going to the seminar, and he was doing a weight loss seminar in Salem, Oregon, which basically nobody wants to lose weight there. And he did a great seminar, and he showed me that seminars can actually make money. And I was like, oh shit, okay. I had the friggin' wrong model for sure, because he just pulled what I make in 2 weeks out of a room in 1 hour. And so like, whoa. And so I was like, you got to teach me how to do this. And he's like, I'll help you any way I can. I'm not doing that. And so I badgered him for like 9 months, and he gave me little things to do, but he wouldn't teach me.
He Miyagi'd you.
He'd have me do scripts and teach me how to do scripts and teach me how to put recordings together that you could sell in the back of the room, because it's like, if you're going to do this, you got to have something to sell. You have something that they want to take away with them. They want bring a piece of you away. And I was like, I never thought that. And so I just became a student of him and a student of how he did business. And I was like, this is really cool. I like this. And so I ended up wearing him down, and he took me out on the road, and I did 8 weeks on the road in front of 500 to 1,000 people in San Diego, at the Del Mar Fair. And we went to another place, and I got on stage the first time. The other place was Victorville. It had like 15 people in the audience. It's terrible. But he's like, if you could do a show here, you could do a show anywhere. And he's right. Mm-hmm. And so I go and do the show, and he's like, you want to do it? And I'm like, no. He's like, come on, you're going to do it. And so I get out there, and I'm like, and I finally got the script out, and I finally got these guys, okay, you're going to do this thing, and you're going to get up. And it was just the worst ever. And he's like, here's the good thing about that. You're never going to be that bad again. And so I just started getting better, and he'd make fun of everything that I did, and then point out a couple of things that in a good way, and mm-hmm. made me feel appreciated that I was even trying, and then, calm me down a lot, and then had me just add one little thing to my performance every day that we did the shows. And then through that, I learned how to do a really solid show. Now I do them. Amazing experience.
And that's great. And when we have Mark on, obviously we'll chat about that, but that speaks volumes about him, that he, would share his resources like that to go, hey, here's a crowd that I basically got us into.
Yeah. I was so scared. And most of my fear of the crowd was I was afraid that I was going to damage his reputation by taking me on. And you got to remember, that's how my head talks to me sometimes. I'm a freaking doctor of psychology, and I'm afraid that I'm going to ruin his deal.
Well, and you bring up a great point that I think all too often we see someone make it look easy, make it look good, and we forget that they're human as well, and that they have those thoughts, and that they have, they don't maybe display it the same way. Yeah. They have different strategies, to be sure, and they're still human.
And he reminded me that every day. I've been doing this for 20 or 30 years. I've been, I think 20, just keep him young. I've been doing this for 15 years. I know what I'm doing, and you're new, and you're trying to compare what you're learning right now to my expertise. You got to give yourself time. And it was so inviting and welcoming, and reminding me that, not everybody's at the same place. Even though we're learning the same things, even though we've learned the same things. And I noticed that with the different psychology interns with me, I was at a different place than them. And I was on a higher level than them. I had a lot of experience of change and growth and acceptance of things that I can't change, and understanding the difference because of my experience in the 12-step programs. And so I was and am in a different place than a lot of people when I walk into the room. But I still, one of the questions I always ask myself, because I learned this years and years ago, is how am I reading this room wrong? Because my head tells me stories. Mm-hmm. My head tells me that there's a danger and terror. It tells me that's a fear. And so I really listen to me and have a relationship with my fear about what's going on. And then I can walk through it, and I teach people how to do that. And I really teach people how to, instead of try to fight with themselves or control themselves, or to try to stamp out or push down the emotions. No, let them out, identify them, and then have that conversation with yourself. It might look a little crazy, but be okay with the fact that you're frightened and that you're excited and that you want to move forward and you don't know how. And then take the guidance of the other people from where they're successful and use them to learn how to be successful yourself. And that's one thing I like about you and the other people in our community that really help each other out. And our Frank Walter, freaking amazing. He's inviting everybody to help out and to have the same journey of helping people grow. And, Paul Fink, I met him through Mark, and I started being coached by Paul in sales and in putting programs together. And I'm like, this is right after I got trained by Mark. And I'm like, I'm thinking maybe about a solid year, and then I can get up and do a seminar and sell from the stage. And he's like, I got a thing coming up in 3 months. You're going to do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that direct, but pretty damn direct.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should do it. I think you should do it. What's holding you back? Why are you stopping yourself? And so 3 months later, I sold from the stage, and I did pretty well considering the parameters and all. And I actually sold my program. And I was like, I had no idea. Now I'm doing that thing that I wanted to do 3 years ago that I didn't act on for 2 of it. And then I get involved with a little bit of stage show, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And within 3 months from saying that I want to do it in a year, I already did it. And now I do things like this, and I do different seminars, and I do different speaking events, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love it. And I was so nervous in the beginning because my head tells me, it's going to be bad. I remember one of the first stage shows I did for hypnosis. I'm sitting there going, I think I probably get out of here before anybody notices I'm gone. I hear that voice, the door's right there. You could probably just run. And I'm like, probably good. You know what? I think I'm going to just try this out instead. And then thanks for sharing. And I think I could be here. And really it's that allowing myself to have that fear and make fun of myself with it and tease me about it a little bit and do the scary thing anyway.
Well, and that's so true. And it's our relationship with
Mm-hmm.
our emotions, as
Mm-hmm.
it were. And sometimes we'll even notice people think that certain emotions are helping them. And it may to a point, but then they keep using that same emotion and it keeps them stuck, as it were. Right. And I know that's the work that we both do. And it's his first step, as you shared, is that awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's going on. And if you could have that voice that, when that speaks, time to make a change, man, you're blessed. Totally.
And the cool thing is like, I can tell the difference between the voices, I didn't get sober for this, versus the voices, oh my God, we're going to run. And it's like, the pressured, agitated.
It's all the relationship and that. Yeah.
Right. So I can tell which person's talking to me. And I write about this in my book. And my book is called Quit Taking Your Own Bad Advice, How to Stop Overthinking and Follow in the Brilliance of Others. And it's really because that's been my path. I've always, since I started making changes, I started following the brilliance of others. And really the fact of the matter is I followed other people before that. It just wasn't very brilliant and wasn't very safe. And so,
choose, one of the things I like to say is find someone who's normal is what you aspire to and just hang out with them.
Right. And that's what I do. I hang around with the people who have more and know how to get where I want to go. And I use them as models. I use them as mentors. I use them as coaches. And I firmly believe in spending whatever you have to, as long as you're not making yourself broke, to get that training that you want, because without actually going all in, you're not going to get what you look for.
Well, and it's not just about the finances. It's about the time and energy that sometimes, you don't want it to be shelf help where you make the investment and then you don't apply. And that's where the idea of enrolling with a coach and so forth is so valuable, because they're going to help hold you to that standard. and be able to be that guidance. Like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. And I did that before, and here's where that led me. Let's look at here's some other.
Right. And you bring up an interesting point that I'm very, very clear on with a lot of the people that I work with, everybody I work with, but a lot of the people that I'm joint venturing with is I am not an accountability coach.
Right.
I will not be an accountability coach. I will not hold you accountable for your desire. If you have it, you're going to get it. I will show you how to take the steps to get what you want, but I will not babysit you. I will not coddle you. I will not sit there and wait for you to do it. I'll wait for you to do it. I will not make you do it or badger you because you're not doing it. You just don't get that with me, because the fact of the matter is it doesn't work, and it separates the relationship, because then they start avoiding because they don't want to hear how bad they are or how they're not following through or they're not doing these things. And it's their own stuff that is causing them. And so for me, instead, I'm a progress partner. If you're not making progress, I want to talk to you about what's getting in your way, because it is not about not following through and not being a good person because you're not integrity and you're not following through. It's all about 100% about something unconsciously is blocking you from what you really want, and I will help you remove it.
Amen, brother. So as we're wrapping up, how can someone, if they want to work with you and learn more about you, how can they get in touch with you?
Generatorcoaching.com is my website. Go there. There's all kinds of little buttons that say, let's talk. You can, all kinds of them, 2 or 3. I have a couple of giveaways on there too, and you can get on my email list to see what's going on. And sometimes I have got really cool stuff. Right now I have a giveaway of 11 costly business mistakes, and I think I have a Ditch Your Stress manual, and shows you how to get rid of a lot of stress that you don't need. And that's on my website. And then info@generatorcoaching.com. You get a hold of me that way. And on my Facebook, which is facebook.com/generatorcc. And if you can't get a hold of me in those ways, you can get a hold of Doug, and he knows how to get a hold of me.
And I'll just give him, your cell number.
Yeah. I'll give him my cell number. It's 971-400-5544. Call me there. Whatever. I try to make myself available, because the fact of the matter is change is possible for anyone who wants to take the chance. And the fact of the matter, another fact is that people were there for me when I was down in the dumps, when my life was destroyed. People were there for me. And then when I wanted to grow, people were there for me. Yep. So I make myself available, and I will be there for anyone who wants to be there for themselves.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I love you and Christine for who you are and who aren't. And we will see you shortly. And if anyone needs Terry and Christine, generatorcoaching.com, reach out and they will help you out.
Yes.
God bless you, brother. I'll see you soon.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging with us. And remember to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts right here. And we look forward to serving you even more. Remember, download your free guided hypnotic meditation at guidedhypnotic.com. That's guidedhypnotic.com, where you'll get your free anxiety-busting meditation. We look forward to serving you, and if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to reach out. All right, we love you for who you are and who you aren't. God bless.